Hello everyone and welcome back to part 15 of our MotoGP 25 Let's Play. Yes, we return this weekend here for the, I think the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. We're racing in Imola this weekend inside MotoGP. Of course, Formula 1 came here IRL. It was actually a pretty decent race in Formula 1, but this is MotoGP. I'm sure there is going to be a lot more chaos. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live from Barcelona at the end of last week, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. We were fighting for the win, but David Munoz had other ideas and took us out of contention right towards the very end. We did still score some good points, but annoyingly for us, Yamanaka actually took the win, so it meant that we ended up down in P14 in the championship standings. Adrian Fernandez still leading the way at the front, but the gap now just 10 points between him and Jose Antonio Rueda. In the Moto2 class, Aaron Canet now leading the way, 4 points ahead of Manuel Gonzalez there, with Arbolino and Vietti not too far behind. And then over in MotoGP, it is still Pecco 33 points ahead of Marc Marquez at the top of the table. It's looking like it's going to be a two bike race, I guess, between those two in that championship as well. Of course, if you're new, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed. We're trying to hit 4K subs here on the channel. And yeah, without further ado then, let's do this thing.
Morning from the Rimini Riviera. We're live from the Misano circuit. Here we are again from the circuit where the second practice session is about to begin. The session will be important both to test the race pace and to book a place in Q2.
Well, apparently then, I'm an idiot when in this game, because although this is technically the San Marino Grand Prix, it is not at Imola. It's at Misano, which I probably should have known, because I remember racing around this circuit a little bit on last year's game. Again, I'm still a little bit of a noob when it comes to MotoGP, and again, I apologise for that, but you guys are with me, you know, on this journey of learning everything that this game has got to it. And of course, we're almost at the end of Season 1. Soon enough, we will have competed on every single track on the MotoGP calendar, which hopefully as we head into next season, venues like Balaton Park and a few other places as well, that, you know, we struggled and, you know, we were really trying to learn. Whether we stay in Moto3 or whether we move up to Moto2, they're going to be quite fun to come back to yet again, and obviously have, hopefully, a bit of a better idea as to what is going on as well there. But this weekend, of course, I still want to aim for a top 10 overall in the championship. I think we should be able to. At the very least, I want to try and chalk up one more win this season as well. But of course, the first goal is to make sure we make it straight into Q2. Making our way then through the final corner. This first lap has actually felt alright. Fairly safe and conservative, but not too bad there. 145.5. Needs to give us something to chase immediately. We're making our way then down in towards the final few corners. There we go. Starting to get some benchmarks from the AI. And, well, as predicted, that first lap, not fantastic, but also, you know, not a million miles away either. We're going to find another second and a half. Still leaves us 2.6 seconds off the top. I was going to say there's going to be more to find, but not if I do that at T1. Again, we're going to find another big improvement here, which is going to bring us closer to the front. That's a 141.7, so pretty much a second exactly behind Taifura Sato. I think it's safe to say these tyres have ran out of grip. Well, I really do appreciate all the help and support you guys have been giving me down in the comments below on these videos. But do real MotoGP riders do this in practice? Do they try and go out for like one big qualifying run in a session? Just to try and, you know, make sure they make it into Q2. Because I assume, obviously, if, you know, a few of them do, then everybody might feel that they have to. I don't know, of course, where we do these shorter races where we're just not as time limited as they are IRL. But it kind of feels like it should be a no-brainer, you know, to guarantee yourself into Q2 without having to worry. But, of course, there might be something that I'm not seeing with it. Well, I genuinely don't know whether Misano was originally built as a motorbike circuit specifically, but it really, really does suit it. You know, this circuit's got fantastic flow. You know, you can really just feel like you're braking late into the corners, getting it hooked up. This lap, though, starting to come together, 8.5 tenths up. We're already halfway round. Or the AI then, perhaps having the same idea as me as we round our way through the final corner. A few really quick times coming in. Oh, I've run out of fuel. That is painful. That was going to be the lap. Well, there we are then by the end of free practice. Rueda and Fernandez, your top two in the championship. Your top two here in that session. Detweiler will make it through straight into Q2 as well. But we will end up slowest, I believe, on the board. Not ideal, but we might have pace to make it out of Q1 and into Q2. Well, to avoid the same incident as what we had in free practice then, I've hopefully put enough fuel in the bike that'll give us 2 laps worth of running here in qualifying. Oh, as we immediately get a huge wobble in at turn 1. No idea, I don't believe, David Munoz is not in this Q1 session. So that's one rider we don't have to be so worried about. Well, Lanetta currently so far then has set the pace on a 1:41.2, but Yamanaka on a flyer right now. Not able to go any quicker, does a 41.5. We will only do a 42.7, so I've got no idea what's happened to the bike in qualifying, but it feels awful. Well, we've come back out then onto the circuit with just 5 minutes left on the session. The time we've got so far still has left us down in about P10 here. I think we're still seeing a few of the riders trying to get times on the board, but yeah, so far the bike has felt really good in free practice and then absolutely terrible as we move into qualifying. Hopefully we can just try and extract something out of it before the end of this session. I do not want to be lining up right at the rear of the grid. There we go then. This lap feels a whole lot better. Just try to avoid those curbs down in the final few corners. Run a little bit wide. Luckily the game will let me get away with that one that time round. As through the penultimate corner we go. Come on, if we can just hit the line through this final one, this is going to be a pretty good time. David Almanza set a 140.3. Oh, a little mistake out the final corner. We're going to do a 140.9. Puts us P8. We've got time for one more lap. And immediately it's gone wrong again. Like I said, I don't know what's going on with this bike at the moment, but I'm hoping it's fixed for the race.
Good morning and welcome to the Misano Grand Prix. We're live from the Romagna Riviera, cradle of Italian motorcycling, on one of the most famous circuits in the World Championship. Just a few more moments and we'll switch to the starting straight for the Moto3 class race. As you can see, we're heading to the starting grid where everyone is ready for the start of the race. It's overcast and temperatures have dropped. Many riders tried softer compounds during this morning's warm-up, and it seems that the most popular choice on the grid is a medium front and a soft rear.
Well, ready then down on the grid, and apparently I've got a long lap penalty. I didn't know I had that one had come through as well, but we're going to have to deal with that at some point early on in this race. I believe that's at the hairpin around the top of the circuit, so I think that's the first one of those we've had to deal with this season. But 22nd of 26 riders on the grid. I can't help but feel after a strong weekend in Barcelona, we are struggling a lot more here.
We're ready for action here at the Misano circuit. Eyes on the lights now. The San Marino Grand Prix is about to start.
Right, come on then. Let's do this thing. Let's see how we get on early on. The 10 red lights are on. It's going to be lights out, and away we go there. Of course, need to make sure we're still ahead of Detweiler in the championship by the end of the next couple of races. So a few riders having a bit of contact there in towards turn 1. I'm going to get a little bit of a push in the back, but hopefully nothing too dangerous there. Alrighty, O'Shea, my fellow Brit, making a little bit of a mistake through the first couple of corners. They're riding into the side of me, but again, luckily, we will both kind of stay out of trouble in that scenario there. Can we go for a little bit of a wide line in towards the next corner? Yes, we can. Oh, a little bit of contact there with, don't know who that is actually, to be honest. But we're up a couple of spots then, as obviously, yeah, we have got that long lap penalty to serve. Right, well, here we are then. First attempt at a long lap penalty inside this game. Oh, come on. Just try and keep it somewhere between the white lines. I'm going to allow myself rewinds through here. It is near impossible to do on this game. Yep, there you go again. How many attempts will it take for me to get this done properly? That's the real question. So it looks like Vitelli seems to have gone down, but there we go. We've been able to serve that one then. If you're like a good player at this game, are you able to serve that without too many problems? Do you nail it pretty reliably? I've got no idea, but I remember they were awful to try and do on MotoGP 24, and I expect them to be no different inside this game. Maybe Misano's is quite a notorious one anyway, but either way, not ideal. By the end of lap 1, we are still down in last, as you just see Eddie O'Shea there making a little mistake in front. This will give us a chance. We've got 7 more laps. We can just get our head down and focus. I'm actually just watching the gap then to the leader. It's not really going up at all, as it is my arch rival, David Munoz, that is leading the way at the front. I think, yeah, it's Patelli, isn't it, as well, that came off. So us 3 at the back, we are closing in rather rapidly. When I don't do that... Well, there we go. I think that's fair. Dennis Foggier picking up a warning for irresponsible riding. Don't think Eddie O'Shea could have really done much in that situation. Dennis just kind of got back on the bike and rejoined straight to the side of him. But as we make our way up the hill on lap 3 then, are we going to be able to try and look around the outside of Foggier then? Move ourselves up out of last place in this race. Try and go for a wide entry, but really cutting tight for the exit. Oh, almost getting underneath him, and now we're going to be on the outside line in towards the daunting corners. He's actually got very good speed in the slipstream of Eddie O'Shea there, as we can't quite find anything through the first part. Can we find anything through the second? Again, not quite there, or a little bit of a wobble through the third. We've got more yellow flags down. Another rider gone. No idea who that one was. I believe that's Pinney that is gone from this race then. But yeah, I tell you what, we're actually having a good little battle as Foggier makes it back through. Annoyingly, the top AI are just rapid. Well, I feel like all 4 riders that kind of got disconnected from the rest of the pack have actually been very, very quick in this race. We just haven't really obviously been able to do anything with it. To this point, though, we're trying to get a run to the back straight there. Very, very wide on the exit of the corner. Maybe track limits are still quite lax, it would appear, inside this series. I'm always kind of there going, you know, the ones that they gives you a warning or a penalty for, fair enough. Otherwise, clearly the game doesn't feel I'm gaining any kind of advantage. As Patelli, he might have a long lap penalty in this race. He's certainly got a warning up next to his name there, but every time I get right up to the gearbox of Eddie O'Shea, just see me make a little mistake, that puts me about a second back again, and then I spend all the time trying to close back in. Got more yellows, got more yellows. It's Angel Bequeras that now seems to have gone down. So one of the riders towards the top of our World Championship, he might be out of it actually. Yes, he is. So we're at 23rd then in this race. I mean, we're still not ahead of any riders still running, but we are alarmingly kind of picking up some spots. There you go, Patelli. Patelli now serving his penalty as well then, so we're not going to be the last rider still on their bike. And up then into 22nd we go. A little bit gutted that we just haven't really closed back in on, you know, your big pack of riders today, but, you know, I think more and more likely I'm going to take another season in Moto 3 and hopefully just make sure that we're feeling a lot more confident. But, yeah, just have not quite adapted as well as I was hoping to. Well, we've had another rider down at those first couple of corners then. I believe that might be Almanza that's gone off his bike as... Well, I just don't want to see David Munoz win. I'd rather see Adrian Fernandez at the top step of your podium. Like I said, obviously that beef with Munoz, I've not forgotten about that, and we're in a position to fight at the front again. Well, then I will be reminding him that we are not friends either there. But finally, maybe getting a run on Eddie O'Shea. I've been following him around all day long, it feels like. Up to this point, we will get down the inside. You've got to immediately try and return the favour, though. We should be able to switch him through the hairpin, which we just about will. Just over 1 lap to go, and we are up into 20th. We're getting a live look at the World Championship standings as they run. Adrian Fernandez will have a 19-point lead now over Ruida. That would be the first time in what feels like quite a while that he'd been taking points out of him. Time for Rossato will be up in P3, and we would still be in 14th position overall. But yeah, it doesn't look like we're going to score points today. But luckily, unless Detweiler can have a fantastic last lap, we will still have mathematically completed our challenge against him with a race to spare. We'll make it our way, though, in towards the final few corners. It looks like it is going to be Adrian Fernandez who takes a momentous victory here at Misano. Hasn't won in a few rounds up at this point, but is still proving himself to be a championship caliber rider. Through the final corner, Adrian Fernandez is going to take the win ahead of David Munoz. John Kelso puts himself up in P3 in the end. P20 for us. That is a great shame.
Let's take a look at the final results of this Moto3 race. The riders are returning to the pits and we'll soon join them in Parc Fermé for the usual post-race interviews.
But looks like Joel Kelso then got the jump on Rarida with just a handful of corners to go in today's race. But yeah, followed up Adrian Fernandez with yet another win on the board ahead of David Munoz. Tayo Furusato in 5th ahead of Quiles, our teammate Detweiler ahead of Yamanaka, Nepa and Urarate. Rounding out your top 10. Bausri, Rossi, Lanetta and Alvaro Carpe ahead of Carraro will round out your point scorers. 3 riders failing to see the checkered flag this weekend. A big shame for them as we come through for P20, beating out Patelli and Eddie O'Shea. Ralston, Paqueras, Pinney and Perone all failing to see the finish. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll be back very soon with more MotoGP 25 content.